Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to another episode of Moonbreaker. In today's episode we're going to be playing essentially a very similar list to the last video. However, I've been tweaking it and trying to find a few changes and to see, how I can make it fit with what I want to do a little bit better. So, in the previous video I mentioned a few times that there were a few issues with the curve that didn't quite sit right. There was a couple of things that I thought, maybe didn't quite work with the game plan, so I wanted to try out a few changes and see how we do from there. The main ones being, we've lost Snarling, we've lost Retirangler Mar, and we also took out Rebuilder Texo for this version. The reason for all of those, so Snarling just wasn't that impactful. I found that Extilior's speed is enough to get in where you need to be most of the time, and if not, you can just use it as a sort of good deployment tool. Rebuilder Texo, there just wasn't really many opportunities to use him. You're either going to be killing units or you're not, and we've gone for more of a killing unit approach just to try and keep ourselves efficient. And lastly, Retirangler Mar was just so resource intensive. I think it's a really powerful unit, but requiring 6 Cinder to realistically activate in a useful capacity in one turn is a huge investment, and we don't always have that many units left on the battlefield, especially in like an attrition based game. So what we've replaced them with, we've gone with Detonia there instead of Rebuilder Texo. So this is our 3-drop. We now have a proactive 3-drop, which we didn't have previously. Really useful. So obviously Texo can be proactive, but if nothing's injured, you don't actually get the health boost, which I didn't realise before. So if you're trying to heal something, you need to actually heal before you can get any real benefit from Texo at all. So much less useful than I thought. Detonia is absolutely an impactful unit, something I want to use, with their cost going down to 1 Cinder for the ability. Really powerful. We've moved on to Furia. So Furia is currently, in my opinion, one of the best units, because if you can just take 1 turn off and keep her safe for a turn, you've basically got a fairly consistent chance of killing a unit with her and maybe one other unit to support her on the next turn. Really powerful. I think it's a really useful tool to have, and something I'm going to be trying to make a bit more use of. And lastly, we've got Peacemaker Balam. So Balam is very powerful. If your opponent mispositions once, you can just place down, stun 2 units. It's a huge amount of value, and then your opponent is basically forced into a position where they have to try and deal with Balam as quick as possible, or their 2 units are locked up forever. And if they send something else there that's going to be able to kill Balam, you stun that instead and send other units after the first 2 you stun. So really useful ability to have, and it makes your opponent play the game differently, which is what we want. Anything that forces them to come near Extilior is something I'm happy with. So I actually think this list's got a lot of potential. I'm looking forward to trying to get a bit more into it. If you're enjoying this, please do hit that subscribe button. It's the one thing that means the most to me. I've had a few new subscribers recently. Thank you to every single one of them. It's just every time I get that notification on my phone, I get a notification for every new subscriber pretty much, and I check it daily, so it means a lot. And you can also like, comment, or join us over on Patreon. The Patreon is in the description. It's the best way to support the channel financially if that's something you'd want to do. And you're welcome to give me any suggestions you want, and I will take them to heart and give them genuine consideration if that's something you want to do. But for now, I'll see you once we get in the game. Okay, we have found our game. We're against Duredudu 6. We're going to go with that. A level 80 account playing Astra. I've not seen many Astra players since the new patch has come out, so this should be quite fun. Astra is, in my opinion, looking likely to be more of an ability focused champion. They've got so much as captain. They've got so much Cinder generation in their kit, and the ability to basically hop around a bit. It's a lot more utility based than anything else has been previously. Okay, so the question is, what do we want to do here? Honestly, I think the question is, do we want to try and capture control points early on? We've got this bug again. Okay, well I can't move. Well, this is ideal. Well, there we go. We got anywhere with half decent line of sight. Sorry, that threw me off a little bit there. Apologies for getting a little bit quiet then. I was fully intending on getting involved, but then the lack of basically a game going ahead just suddenly made me feel quite thrown off, and I was just sort of not really sure what to say, and I just went quiet for a little bit. So the reason I moved up here into taking the pot shot is because I can put the defensive shield on here. We can move to take this next turn, and if our opponent comes in this direction, we can just chip a bit of damage away. If they go down south near to the bottom location, then we can absolutely go and do the same thing, and we can just try and compete over there. For them to deploy a Cinder Orb, perfectly reasonable. Unfortunately, we can't really kill the Cinder Orb. They're going to protect themselves, yeah. So all we're going to do now is just move up here. We might as well take a pot shot and see if we can poke them, because there's nothing else to do with our Cinder here. We'll go for this. If we hit it, it'd be nice. We missed, of course, but that's pretty reasonable, to be fair. Question: do we want to go up or down? I think we go up still. And can we get a good Detonia placement here? Not really. So honestly, that incentivizes me to not do anything with Detonia at all, and just save our leadership. So this is something that wasn't always the case. You know, this didn't used to be something that you'd always do. You would never save your leadership, but because things can act straight away, it's now a much more appealing concept. So with them moving over here, we're now going to have 4 leadership next turn, plus 3, so 7. So we could actually play Xianya here, which if they play another melee unit, so it's Fixer, you know what, not unreasonable. If we can move over here, we could even just go for Xianya, but I actually think this could be a really good Peacemaker Balam turn, because if we can just Balam and stun both of these, we can just ignore them for now and start pushing for pressure onto other parts of the game. So this is a really good reason not to use Detonia, because this is so much value for us. Because how much is Balam's ability now? It's still 2. Okay, so we still need some, but this doesn't really matter. So we're going to deploy ourselves here and be fairly safe. We can get 55. Can we get any better than that? Get sort of 59. I mean, honestly, I think I'm just going to Ozos and go for a little bit of damage there, and maybe even just stay safe back here. We're going to deploy Peacemaker Balam. We're even going to save some leadership for next turn, which is interesting. So this is fairly safe here. There we go. Now we're just going to Spore Puff both of these and let the game move in our favour. So this is a really nice situation for us, because with our opponents being stunned, we've basically taken a whole bunch of their resources off the table. We can start clearing these up at our own leisure, really. We're going to have 6 leadership next turn, which means we can deploy Crosshair and start just picking these off, or if they deploy something separately to these that we can't stun 2 at once, we can just start dealing with that other unit instead as well. So they're obviously going to go for Peacemaker Balam, but now they've put themselves right next to Ixtilior, which is pretty much the best case scenario for us, because if they deploy here, we can deal with it. This could be a hit and run. Oh, Bulwark. Okay. So we might be able to get a stun onto both of these, which would be interesting. And if they don't position well, we can just still move away and just deal with things again. So what stun can we get? We can get both of those, or we can get both of these. I mean, it's obviously just these 2. Or do we just go for the kill? I mean, okay, so what do we want to do here? We can, to be honest, I think the fact that we can potentially just deal with this is what we want to do. So we're going to move here to get the additional damage in. We're going to use the Spore Puff over here again, and this time we're just going to move again a little bit safer. We're going to deploy our new favourite little friend, Crosshair. I mean, unless there's any other way of doing it. We can get 4 here, but we can't get another 2. Yeah, I think this is a Crosshair turn. So I'm just going to try and use this as well to stop deployment going in the direction of Balam. There we go. And we can Shield of Hope. There we go, Shield of Hope over there as well, just to keep us a little bit safer. And we're getting really far ahead now. So 3-point lead's great. We're stunning multiple units. They're going to struggle to... Okay, so this is Aria. We're using their Aria here just to clear this out, which also gives us great opportunity on both of these next turn. because we've still got Crosshair to deal with this, and this is using all of their leadership. So this is absolutely fine for us, because we're going to be able to push towards 2 different units next turn. Maybe not kill both of them, but we can be able to get a good chunk of damage in, especially if they're moving up there, because we can punch, spin, do everything we need to. So this is where we're going to want to go. We're going to punch first, then we're going to spin. We might as well spin. Are we? Yeah, we are in range to pop that shield. Perfect. And we're going to just come over here and finish this off. Get these points going a little bit further. The question is, if we can get this, I think we've got this, because we get the 100% shot here. We pop Antios down over here. We inner energy, and we clear out. There we go. That was an awesome game. It was a really, really quick one. I am going to leave this just at 1 game for today, because I'm currently recording this at 1 in the morning and I've got work tomorrow, so I do need to get to bed. But that was a really, really efficient game, and I'm starting to feel like this list is coming together really nicely. That was, you know, we used control of, basically we used board control when needed to. Peacemaker Balam used a lot of resources from our opponent. Choosing not to deploy Detonia on that turn because it didn't have any effect ended up being a really valuable point for us. Crosshair got some amazing value out of it. We got to use Crosshair effectively twice, which was amazing. And then Antios and Deadeye again to finish. That was a really good game. I feel like I can't feel of a way I could have played that much better. I mean, if you've got any ideas of how you think I could have done, absolutely let me know. I would love to hear it. I'm always keen to learn, but I think that went really, really nicely. If you've enjoyed this, please don't forget to, first of all, subscribe. I know I usually go in a different order, but subscribing is the one I'm going to push for as long as I can until my wedding in October. I really want all those subscriptions coming through, probably till I get to 1,000 to be fair, but that's the one I'm going to really push for. You can also like, comment, join us over on Patreon. The Patreon funds can go either towards the wedding or towards new toys for the stream, getting a better camera, getting a better computer. A little bit of an upgrade would be incredible, so really appreciate any support you're able to offer. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and most importantly, have a good day.